Hi, my name is Paul Latour. I'm the founder of Hero Work, a program that I've designed to inspire people and companies to come together and organize amazing community events. This last spring, I just finished the Mustard Seed Radical renovation, a $500,000 renovation of the entire Mustard Seed's 5,000 square foot building, done at no cost to them, at no cost to them. What I want to talk to you about today is an outline of a course I'm putting on the 22nd of October. This is a 2-hour intensive, just crash course where I'm going to be talking about all the strategies, techniques, and steps that I go through in order to put one of these events on. And these strategies apply to not only renovations. I've done a food and fundraising campaign as well as these extreme radical renovations. And I believe that these strategies apply to all kinds of events in all kinds of organizations. Whether it applies to your organization or your events, I'm unclear. I'll leave that to you to decide, but I believe that these strategies can take you from here and take you up to there, can catapult your results in a way that will be really surprising. They were surprising to me. And why am I putting this course on? I mean, this is some pretty crazy and valuable stuff that I'm putting out there. And the course is what? Worth $35 to get a ticket. Only 30 people can get seats. It's not like I'm trying to make some money off of this deal. What I want to do is make a bigger difference. After this Mustard Seed Extreme makeover and the follow-up work that I had to do, I started to think to myself, well, what next? Where do I go from here? And I thought, well, I'm going to put another event on. Of course, we'll put another event on. I'm actually going to announce the next event relatively soon. But I thought, is there another way? Is there a bigger way? Is there a better way for me to make a difference, have an impact within our community to make the world a better place? And I thought, wow, I've got some pretty crazy strategies. I've got some really amazing things that I don't see anybody else out there really doing. And I think that's why we've had such huge and tremendous success. If you think about it, I don't have an organization behind me. I don't have resources behind me. I don't have grants behind me. I'm just a guy with a dream, a vision, and some chutzpah and some really strategic actions, and I'm making it happen. Well, unless I can have a dream and a chutzpah, but unless I'm super organized and super strategic about everything that I do, there's no way that I'm going to get the result. There's no way that I could have gotten the results that I've gotten. So in this course that I'm putting on, 2 hours again, we're going to go through the 7 steps of what you need to do in order to put on an amazing community event, what I'll call an extreme community event. But before I go into all this, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and where I come from. If you know a bit about my story, simply forward this video ahead about 4 minutes and just skip this part, get straight into the 7 steps. But my story, I came at this real innocently. I never expected in my life to be organizing events, no matter extreme community events. I never expected to be hosting a television show. I never expected to do a $500,000 renovation for the Mustard Seed. At the beginning, I had a friend who needed help. She was a lady with MS. She was a really good person. She helped her friends. She helped her family. She volunteered in the community. But because of her condition, she had lack of mobility, lack of gainful employment. One of the things that she used to ask people for assistance or complain about was that her backyard was completely unusable to her. And for some people that wouldn't really affect them, but for this friend, she used to be a master gardener and she loved to be outside, except that the challenge was because of her condition, her backyard had become completely unusable, completely overgrown. She could walk this little path from her back door to her back gate, with her walker going along. And I thought, I bet you we can make a difference here, because she would ask people to come over on the weekend, and I would spend 4 or 5 hours on a Saturday afternoon. I'd be digging, I'd be weeding, I'd get blisters on my hands, I'd be sweating, I'd be tired, I'd look at what I'd done, and I thought, wow, I barely made a dent. I can barely see a difference. And so one Sunday night, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be kind of cool to, do like a little radical renovation for her, a little extreme makeover? And I thought, I bet you I can get 20 friends together and have a pizza party. That's how innocent my thought was right at the beginning, and look where it's come. Well, with that germ of an idea, I put a plan together. And the next day I talked to a good friend of mine And she thought, wow, this is cool. I want to get involved. We talked to 5 other friends. They all said, wow, this is great. Let's try and make this happen. Well, 7 weeks later, based on this plan that I had put together, we had 27 business sponsors, 10 rotating musical acts, 5 professional film crews, and 75 volunteers. And in a single day, did a $25,000 renovation with a budget of $380. I mean, not only was the event a crazy success, but people kept coming up to me. People who have been working all day and volunteering in the hot sun, and they kept coming up to me, giving me a hug and saying, thank you, Paul, for giving us the opportunity to make a difference. And at that moment, I realized there's magic here. I had never seen community swell up like that. I'd never seen that amount of love and action at one time come together like that. And I thought, there's something here. There's something here. I got to take this to the next place. Where might this take me? How can I make a difference in this world? And so I decided, let's do another event, because maybe this was a fluke. Maybe it was a one-off. Maybe I can't do it again. So I decided, well, let's do another one. The second extreme radical event that I put on, a extreme makeover for the Casa Maria Emergency Housing Society. This is a little known nonprofit in Fernwood. Practically nobody knows about them, but they had been housing and helping refugee families for over 20 years. They essentially had a duplex, and in each of these units they would house a refugee family who had just come into the country and needed to get on their feet. And once they were on their feet, they went out to the community and they brought in another family. Well, 20 years later, they had helped over 200 families, but because of that time, the wear and tear, the place had become a mess. In essence, it was unsafe. The deck was not working properly. The foundation posts were a problem. There were so many problems with the house that the Casa Maria Emergency Housing Society was thinking about giving the building away for $1 so that another organization could come in, renovate it, use it, and continue to make a difference. Well, I thought, I bet you we can make a difference. We toured that place. I thought, these people are amazing and inspirational. And then I followed these action steps, and we put that plan together, and we did an over $100,000 renovation in a weekend, a little over a weekend. We had 96 business sponsors, I believe. We had about 300 volunteers, 15 rotating musical acts, film crews again, and we put the whole thing together. It was amazing. After that event, though, it was a huge success and it was amazing, but there were some things that were missing. I had a really good foundation, I had some good stuff, but I felt there were some things missing. I needed to personally learn more. So I took time off from putting events on, and I learned how to build websites. I learned speechcraft so that I could get up and talk in front of people, and how to put a speech together or how to deliver on camera. I took that. I took marketing, all kinds of marketing. How do I spread the word out there? How do I tell a story? How do I partner with businesses? How do I partner with the media? All of these things I learned. Then I learned videocraft. Then I learned how to edit and shoot videos so that I could work with professional videographers. All of these skill sets, which took me about 18 months to 2 years to learn, I then took and packaged them together with the foundational ideas that I had come up with, and then I approached the Mustard Seed to help them out. I approached the Mustard Seed, we had a tour of their building, and then I spent 6 weeks getting to know who they are. I volunteered at every single job in the place. I got to know what they needed, what they didn't need. We spent months designing their renovation and then put the whole thing together, and you know the end to that story. So now I'm at this place again where I'm trying to make a difference, and this is what I'm here to offer you, because we have some proven results here. We have put these renovations on, we've put that food and fundraising campaign on, and I believe that these strategic action steps that I'm going to teach in this course are going to be really useful to you. So now, without further ado, I'm going to go through the 7 steps. We're going to go through them pretty darn quickly because it's just an overview, and during the course we're going to go in more detail about each of these things. First of all, if I'm designing an event, and during this course I'm going to use a real event that I'm putting together now to use as a concrete example as we go through. But right now we're going to go and just plow through these pretty quickly. The first It's just the basics, you know? What do we need to know in terms of the basics here? Before we even start, we need to know why are we doing the event. You know, the why is, let's say, well, I need to raise money in order to pay for the organization. Well, that's not really a why. Well, I need to pay my staff and make sure that the building is in good shape. Well, that's not really a why either. Well, who are you helping? It's like, well, I'm helping kids and mothers who are in need. Well, now we're getting into more of a why. You need to really distill the why down into the people who are you actually helping. What is it that you're actually doing within the community? So an event could say, well, I'm helping this XYZ constituency who is in this type and this type and this type of situation, but I'm also this event inspiring community in this other very specific way. And so you want to have a good understanding of the who and the why from a small detailed picture and a big overview picture. And then the next three here are going to be relatively easily. When are you going to put the event on? So that gives you your deadlines. And then where, and then what. Now the what has to really ends up going to the second step, because what is this event going to look like? You know, you've got the why, you got who you're doing it for, you got your deadlines, and what is it going to look like? Well, that talks about the event design. This is what this leads into, because designing an event is key. If you do not design an event well, then it doesn't have the foundation to really hold the weight of everything that's built on top of it. And you see some great examples out there of some events that are designed very well. But I have about 4 key strategies that I use to design an event, and each of these strategies break down. But the first strategy is the event has to represent or create change. People who get involved with nonprofits and community events, it's all about change. They want to see some type of positive change in the world. And so you need to ensure that your event represents, as in leading to change. And what is that change? You need to connect your event to the change, or the event itself creates some type of physical change, i.e. a renovation is what we did for our makeovers. And then the next one you want to be sure that you're hitting is coolness. This is what I call the coolness factor. I mean, I love the coolness factor because, you know, that's what makes things a crazy and amazing experience that people haven't had before. People want to be involved in something cool and something that makes a change. So these are 2 of the things. And then you want to make sure that you've got a great cohesion within your entire event. So you've got teaching in there, you've got proper branding in there, you've got simplicity that's within the design of the event. And then the fourth element of designing a proper event is connection, so that your event is designed to facilitate connections between people. And these are the 4 key factors that go into designing an event. Of course, during the course, we're going to go into more depth about what each one of these means using some concrete examples. But when you connect all of these 4 elements together and they are all distilled within an event, you are already head and shoulders above most of the competition out there, because your event has a great foundation. The third step is strategic storytelling. This is so crucial. Storytelling, now that I've got some basics, I know the why and the who and the when, and I've designed the event to have all of these factors. Now I need to take that information and tell the story of it. You see, people are motivated by stories. If you are not telling the story, you are not getting out into the community in a big way. People inside their head, whenever they're making a decision as to whether to get involved with something or whether not to get involved, they're telling themselves a story. And we need to supply them with a story. So this story needs to be told 3 ways. You need to be able to tell it verbally. I need to be able to pitch it to you in an elevator speech. 2, I need to be able to write this, so I need to be able to send out documents or have it online or in various ways like that. And 3, I need to be able to tell it in video. Video is the most powerful format out there right now. And the thing about video and the other ways, but this story, and video especially, will connect with the heart. It will emotionally connect with them because they're seeing visuals, they're seeing music, and they're having the whole story of the why and the who. And that's so important. And then the event itself you're putting all these things together to affect the heart in a way that creates action. But then you also want to make sure that it makes sense to them. So we're catching them here and we're catching them there, and that's super important. And then the last thing that we need to do is make sure that we're following the 6 traits. Now, telling a story has craftsmanship to it. And there are 6 traits that I'll talk about in the course that are the traits that you need to adhere to in order to tell a good story. So you can have a great why and a great who. You can have a great event, but if you're not following the 6 traits, then your story is going to be dull, or it's going to be too slow, or it's not going to be focused enough, or it's going to be too complex. These are the things that you need to really adhere to so that you can catch the head, catch the heart, and really, really motivate people and businesses to get involved. This is so powerful that when I did my first, what I call community action videos, which is a 5-minute video that I didn't even know what I was doing for the very first event. And I was doing my first cold call, and I was so nervous. This is a big highfalutin guy. I'd never done this before. My heart's pounding, the pitch of my voice is going up and up and up. And suddenly I just said, why don't you just watch the video? And I clicked play on my laptop. He watched it. 5 minutes later, he said, you guys have put a lot of work into this. This is great. What do you need? I'll give you whatever you need. That's the power of strategic storytelling. This is what mobilizes the community in a really big way. And I think that these 2 things here, but this especially, is something that's really missing within many of our nonprofits and our ability to put the information out there. I don't know what this line is for. There was only 4 things here. Okay, moving on to the 4th thing. The 4th strategic step is making sure you know all your stakeholders and how you're going to create win-win situations for each of them. So now you got your organization, of course, right? Well, that's pretty obvious. You got your team. We need to decide, well, who needs to be on that team? Who's going to be a paid person and who's going to be a volunteer team member? And if you're going to have volunteer team members, you need redundancy within your team members. So you need to determine who are your team members and how are you going to create win-win situations. You see, everybody that's involved within a Hero Work event that I've designed needs to both give and get. Give and get. That creates what I call a full circuit of energy, right? You just can't have somebody coming in and giving. In some way, you need to be giving back to them. So we're going to talk about in the course how you create win-win situations for each of these stakeholders. So the stakeholders, these are all pretty common stakeholders. You need sponsors. Big one. I mean, big. How are you going to create win-win situations for sponsorship? I've got over a 90% success rate for sponsors. 9 out of 10 businesses I talk to get involved to the project I'm putting on. That's because we've discerned what it is they want, and it's surprising what it is that they want. Volunteers, we need to make sure how many volunteers do we need, what are their roles, and how are we going to create win-win situations for them. The donors are the same way, of course, and then we have the recipients of the event. This is the who that's over there. How are we going to create a win-win situation for these? Now these 4 steps initially, these are what I call preparatory steps. I haven't even really moved out into the community at this point. I'm just getting ready. Then, once we've got all of this down, we are prepared. We've got a great story that I've been able to tell in many ways. We've got an event that's really well thought out and with multiple factors taken into effect, and we've really got our stakeholders down. We know who they are, what we need, and what we're going to give to them as value back. So then in the last 3 steps, this is when we get into the action steps of things. The 5th step is what I call relational campaigning. In many elements, you think that, we put out a promotion or a promotion here, but what I'm talking about in terms of a campaign is a strategic sequence, an interconnected set of events that creates an entire campaign that builds, right? An event has a big swell of support like this, and we need to be able to be really cognizant of what that swell and how we're building momentum, and that's what campaigning is all about. campaigning connects to the storytelling that we talked about earlier, because much of the campaigning is really telling the ongoing story. And so people keep getting connected in and connected in and connected in, and they want to make more of a difference. And that information and story gets sent out into the community, and then the support starts to swell. So with the campaigning, the first thing you want to do in terms of campaigning is build your team. Right? I mean, you want your story done before you have the team on, before you bring the team together. I had, for the Mustard Seed Extreme Makeover, I had 2 community action videos. I had one that was my initial one that was all about building the team. That was its primary purpose. How could I get great people involved in this event? And then I put a second one out, which moved it out into the community. And that was the one that I went to say, well, how am I going to acquire these sponsors? And the campaigning goes from having all of your story and everything in line, and then moving out into community, building your team. You and your team then go out and get sponsors in a very specific way. Then you go out and get the volunteers in a very specific way. And then we inspire community. And when you put these three things together, you can see how this is swelling. Let's say you got a team and the team is building, and then you have your sponsors, and then you get your volunteers, and then you're inspiring community, and then you have the event. And you want to over-deliver on your event. And there's some real specific things that I think are really important in terms of delivering the event. Now, you've got all your logistics. Yes, there's always 1,001 details that are going on. There's lots of tasks and people that are coming up. And in this area here, we have systems that I'm going to talk about that will help to keep the delivery quite clean. But one of the most important things, if not the most important thing, that's not if it is the most important thing every morning before I get up, or when I get up in the morning during my last event or any event, I remind myself repeatedly that my most important thing for me to do while putting an event on is to express gratitude to everybody who comes. Whether that's sponsors, volunteers, media, everybody. I am like opening up my heart to the best of my ability and welcoming them in, because they're there contributing to my event, and I want to thank them. Yes, things aren't going to go completely right all the time. I've never seen a perfect event, but the more prepared you are, the better campaigning you have, the great team members you have, this event is going to be delivered, and you need to show gratitude for them. And if you've got an event that actually takes time, you need to really make sure that you're maintaining your energy levels. You don't want to fizzle out halfway through the event. So if you had, for our Extreme Makeover or Convoy Boston, it was a 9-day event. It was a haul, and there was lots of stuff leading up. You need to make sure that you're taking care of your energy levels all the way through. And you need to be sure that you're being a leader, that you're lifting people up, not putting them down, that you've got vision and belief that you've carried through the entire event. These are the 3 main things, other than the obvious logistical steps of delivering. These are the 3 main things that you need to learn or know during an event. Apologies for that, technical difficulties. And then once we get the event done, of course, this is all about getting to the finish line. We need to make sure that we go through the finish line in terms of following up with things. So we need to make sure that we're recognizing sponsors. We need recognizing sponsors, so important. Recognizing volunteers, recognizing all of the people that brought this whole thing together to make a difference. We need to again be showing gratitude to all of these people, and we need to be showing connection to them as well. This is after the event. This is when they don't think that you're really going to contact them anymore, and you make that phone call or you send that handwritten letter out there, and they know that your appreciation goes beyond the event all the way through the event. Now we're continuing to develop the relationships, because people, whether they're sponsors or whether they're businesses or whether they're volunteers or team members, they take action based on relationships. That's the most important thing. And by following up and doing all of these things, you're continuing to build your relationships within your constituency that will enable you to make bigger and better events in the future. So this is a really quick overview of what I'm going to teach in more depth in the 2-hour crash course on October 22nd, put on by Deb Alcadino of the Westshore Women's Business Network. It's going to be happening over in Langford on that date. I hope that this is of some value to you. I hope that that if you want to come and you think that what I have to teach to you, and especially in terms of the storytelling and the designing of events and this relational campaigning, those are the 3 key things that I don't really see a lot of people doing out there, that I think that we can provide, or I can provide amazing value to you that could catapult your event up and allow you and your organization to make even a bigger difference in this world. Again, it's $35. It's an amazing value. There are, however, only 30 seats. So if this is of interest to you, please click the button below. It will take you to the Westshore Women's Business Network webpage where you can register to be part of the event. If this isn't for you, well, I hope that you've learned something here. I hope that at least what I've given you right now has been some great value. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Be authentic, be passionate, be inspired. Continue to make a difference today.